Think a capo is just for changing keys? You're in for an amazing surprise. I'd like to show you 4 extremely cool ways to use a guitar capo that will completely transform your playing. Number 4 will change your approach to the capo forever. We're going to take a deep dive into the various ways that you can use a capo. I know most of you think of the capo as just put the capo on and you play and everything is higher up the neck. But there's some really cool creative ways that you can use the capo. I'm going to show you how to approach that. The first way is, this is probably the most familiar way, is you just take your capo and you put it, let's say, just behind the 2nd fret. And I like this capo here because it's a Planet Waves and it's small, and then you can decide how much clamping you want to put on the mechanism. If you twist it too tight or you have a clamp, sometimes it makes the guitar go sharp. So this is nice for just getting to the right spot. Now what you do is you just play, and what was a C chord, if I move it up to here, I'm playing a C shape, but this is a D chord. If you were playing with a piano player, you would ask them to play a D chord while you're playing this chord here. So nothing fancy about that, we're just putting the capo on. But I do want to mention that one of the things that works best with the capo is to use what are called the caged shapes. The word caged is spelled C-A-G-E-D. So typically those are the shapes that you're going to use as you move the capo up the fret. Before we go on, I just wanted to remind you to subscribe to the Adam Loves Guitar channel. There's something there for just about everybody. So come on down and check us out. The second way to use a capo is to get what I call the mandolin sound. And that is where you take the capo above the 7th fret to start to get into the mandolin zone. But it's really nice. I'll start here at the 7th. And then I'm going to take a D shape and I'm going to move it all the way up to here. And you can hear it has this really bright, beautiful, chimey kind of sound, which, by the way, sometimes I'll put some overdrive on the guitar, just a little bit of breakup. And another tip is anytime that you play a caged chord, C, A, G, E, and D, you want to know where the root is in that chord so that when you move it up the fretboard, you know what the actual name of the shape is. So for instance, we have a D chord here. The D in this chord is the open D. There's also a D over here. When I bring this shape up here, what was the open D back there is the capo note right here, which happens to be A. So I'm playing a D shape, but this is an A chord. And we're getting into Here Comes the Sun territory. It could be anything, and I'm just going to play a little bit of this sound. Nice chimey, like I say, mandolin sound. And you could even go further up the neck and get into these higher frets, and that's a cool layering effect that you can use either live or if you're overdubbing in your recording studio and you want to add a 2nd or even 3rd guitar part. These capoed parts really add a lot of shimmer to your recordings. Now, the third way is where we get into things where you have a song presented to you and maybe you get the lead sheet to it, or maybe it's a jazzy key like the key of F or B flat, or the song is in a key that's too high for your voice and you want to lower the key. So obviously you can't take a C and lower it. Let's say you have a situation where the song is in the key of C, it's a little too high for your voice, you want to put it in the key of B flat. Okay, B flat. What's out of the cage, C-A-G-E-D, which one of those could I move up the fretboard so that it becomes a B flat? What's close to the note B flat? G is close. If I took this G shape and I went G sharp, A, B flat, now if I put the capo on, I'm playing a G shape, but I'm in the key of B flat, so I actually went into a lower key. Remember, the original key was C, and we're transposing to the key of B flat, and we're using a G shape with a capo to get B flat. So this comes in really handy. Like another way is, let's say you had something in the key of B flat and it went something like this. So I have B flat to E flat. I put my capo on. You or the producer or somebody says, that sounds great, but can you do a little bit of finger style? And you could do finger style in B flat on a B flat chord, but it's just not going to have the same effect as one of those open position caged chords. Instead of playing B flat to E flat, I'm going to play a G shape to a C shape. Here's the original key, B flat. I'm going to superimpose this on top of it. So how cool is that? Like I say, a jazz key, or sometimes you'll buy lead sheets and they're in the wrong key and you want to lower the key and use a capo. The thing is that you do need to learn how to transpose. How do you go from one key to another key? This is what I was talking about in the beginning. It's what I call the poor man's guide to transposition. And somebody showed me this way a long time ago when I was first getting into music, and I thought, wow, that's really cool. That's a good way to approach it. Eventually, you just memorize transposition. If I'm going from the key of C to the key of A flat, I can do all that on the fly in my head, but it took a few years to develop that. So I'm going to show you what you do is you set up two visuals like I have here. If you notice, there's 12 blocks here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. On this set of blocks here, you put the original key. Like you get a lead sheet or somebody calls a tune and oh, let's do this in the key of. All right, so that's the original key is C. Then what you do is you draw in the notes of the C chromatic or half step scale. C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, and B. Then directly underneath it, so it all lines up, you put the key of the shape that you're using. For instance, in the previous example, we were going to go from the key of C to the key of B flat, but we're using the G shape. So what we transpose to the shape that we're using, which is G. And so then I just put in the G chromatic scale. This would be G sharp or A flat. And I'll just use sharps for now. G sharp, A sharp. I'll put them in. This could be B flat. B goes directly to C. C sharp is also D flat. D sharp is also E flat. E, F sharp. And you know you've done it right if the next note was going to be G, which it is here. So if in the original key you had a progression like this, C, G with B in the bass, A minor 7, G sus. So the first letter here is C, and you come up to the original key and what's below the C is a G. So there's your transposition. Next we have a G with a B bass. So here's G, underneath it is D. Here's B, I find B over here, underneath it is F sharp. And now we've transposed this chord to this one. A, I find the A over here. I bring down the type of chord it is, and then the G sus, here's G, and then D sus. And now we've transposed from the original key C to the key of, really we're going to the key of B flat because we're putting the capo at the 3rd fret, but because we're using G shapes, that's why we do the transposition like that. That's how you transpose from one key to another. And it doesn't matter how sophisticated the chord progression is. You could have G13 sharp 11. Let's say this, if this said C13 sharp 11, then this would be G G13 sharp 11. You just bring the type of chord down. Okay, so that's a really quick and easy way to transpose songs. Again, like you're at a band rehearsal, the singer comes in, says, I can't sing it in that key. Can you drop it down 3 half steps? Instead of the key of C, I'd like to do it in the key of A. Before we move on, I wanted to invite you to join the Adam Loves Guitar community. There's a link below, and you'll find all kinds of great stuff. I'm there during the week to answer questions. So click the link below and please join our community. We'd love to have you. So the fourth way to utilize the capo is one of my favorites. It's a great sound. Basically what you're doing is you're overlaying 2 capoed guitar parts together. So like you put the capo in this area of the neck and you play something here, and then on top of that you layer another capoed part up here that gives you a really full sound and a very shimmering sound. Okay, so let's say we took a progression from a D chord to a G chord, 1 to 4, and I want to utilize the capo with that progression. So the first thing I'm going to do is think about my caged chords. Which one would I like to choose that will put me somewhere in this part of the fretboard? I need a D chord, and so C is pretty close to D, so I'm going to start with this C shape, and then I'm going to move C, C sharp, D at the 3rd fret, which means the capo is going to have to go at the 2nd fret. Get out my trusty capo and we dial it in here on the 2nd fret. And then I play a C shape, which is, in reality, this is a D chord now. And then for the G chord, I'll just go over maybe to this F chord here, to the 4 chord, which is, it's an F shape, but it's really it's a G chord because here's the root. But I may do something a little different down here for an F chord. We'll see what happens. Let's see what we can do. 2, 3. Okay, so that's the first part of the layer. Now I want to think about getting up into this range here. So let's take a G shape, because that'll get me up there. Here's a G, and I know it's going to be a good distance from G to D. So G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C sharp, D. And here I arrive here, and then just like back here, we have an empty fret and then the nut. So when I'm up here, we have an empty fret and then the capo. Right here at the 7th fret, dial that in. Now I'm going to play a G shape, but it's really a D chord. And so when I play, let's say, a C shape, that's the 4 chord, so this is a G chord, and so forth. I'll let the progression go around 1 time, and then I'll come in the 2nd time with the layer. Here we go. You can see that that's such a great sound. You've got this part of the guitar going on, you got this part of the guitar going on, and if you were in a band or whatever, you'd have bass playing, the drums are going, and it makes for a really great sound. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel on your way out. For more information on my signature guitar and musicianship courses, check out the information in the links below. Bye for now.